Hello, sleepyheads. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Remy and I make ASMR videos. And for today's video, I'm going to be fulfilling a request to read a children's book aloud. And I chose for today's reading The Berenstain Bears and The Messy Room, a classic. So let's jump right in after you get a good look at the cover. First page has an illustration of a box filled with toys, and it says, "When small bears forget to pick up, store, and stash some of their favorite things end up in the trash." This is clearly a different era in parenting, pre-gentle parenting. I guess you can gently threaten, offer some gentle consequences. I'm not a parent, so all you parents out there, let me know what you think of conditions, rules like this, policies like this. I suppose the idea is they create personal responsibility, but I don't know, I'm torn about it. Then we have a beautiful cover page. Like a diptych, it takes up both pages and really shows a wider scope. The mess of their room. I love that watercolor. It's still dripping. Oops. From the outside, the bear's treehouse, which stood beside a sunny dirt road deep in bear country, looked very neat and well kept. The flower beds sparkled with red, yellow, and blue tulips. The woodwork was freshly painted and in good repair. The grass was cut and the vegetable patch was properly weeded. Even the bird's nest that perched on one of the treehouse branches was well trimmed. There. Can you see it? And Papa Bear is mowing the lawn with one of those, I don't know if you'd call them manual mowers, but and then Brother Bear is skateboarding, apparently chasing a frog. Sister Bear is jumping rope and entertaining a butterfly. And Mama Bear is helping this bird maintain her nest. And there are two little baby birds inside. The inside of the bear's treehouse was neat and clean too. The pictures were straight, the piano was dusted, The kitchen was spick and span. And even the basement was neat and clean. And if you think it's easy to keep a treehouse basement neat and clean, well, you've never tried to do it. So, sister and brother bear are playing the piano. And here they're helping themselves to some cookies. They look really good, like sugar cookies. And then Mama Bear has painstakingly organized the foodwares, the jarred foods in the basement. Yes, the bear's treehouse was a lesson in neatness and cleanliness, except for one place, Brother Bear and Sister Bear's room. It was a mess. A dust-catching, wall-to-wall, helter-skelter mess. Take a closer look. What do you see? Some modeling glue is dripping down. Looks like sawdust or something similar is also pouring off the newspaper or whatever it is that Brother Bear has put down in an attempt to keep things clean. And then we have a puzzle collecting cobwebs in the corner. Looks like a pogo stick. And Sister Bear is spilling some water from her watercolor set. Those jacks on the floor must be dangerous. I love the chart to measure their height as they grow, and then the closet as a sign. Open at your own risk. That's not a good sign. It's a good sign. It's an effective sign. Well placed. Well considered, but it's not a good indication. A half-done jigsaw puzzle gathered dust in one corner of the room. Okay, so now we're getting into it, seeing if we spotted things correctly. A half-done jigsaw puzzle gathered dust in one corner of the room. A group of brothers' dinosaur models collected cobwebs in another. Sisters' stuffed animals were everywhere. As for the cubs' big storage closet, well, just be careful how you open it. Poor Mama Bear. It wasn't that brother and sister were naturally messy. They tried to keep their room straight. They made their beds most of the time, and they swept and picked up once in a while. The trouble was that when cleanup time came, they spent more time arguing than cleaning. How am I supposed to sweep with your dumb dinosaur toys all over the floor? Argued Sister. They're not toys, they're models. And don't move them. I'm working on a setup of the Pleistocene age, Brother protested. Pleistocene, schmeistocene, shouted Sister. Not only was Brother and Sister's room a mess, But brother and sister were getting to be a mess too, always arguing about cleanup chores instead of sharing the job and working as a team. Dirty dishes over here. What usually happened was that while the cubs argued about whose turn it was to do what, Mama took the broom and did the sweeping herself, and she often did the picking up too. That was the worst part, the picking up and the putting away. It's still raining here in Los Angeles. Can you hear it? It's been weeks of rain off and on. Wow, the mess just seemed to build up and build up until one day, maybe it was because Mama's back was a little stiff, or maybe it was stepping on Brother's airplane cement. Oh, that's what it's called. Or maybe she was just fed up with that messy room. But whatever it was, Mama Bear lost her temper. Look at all that mess. She stormed into the cub's room with a big box. Okay, so maybe she arrived at the big box policy that we saw on that first page. From a place of being really fed up. The first thing we have to do is get rid of all this junk, she said. Junk, said brother and sister, watching in horror as Mama began to throw things into the box. My teddy isn't junk, screamed sister. My bird's nest collection isn't junk, yelled brother at the top of his lungs. There she goes. Like a jet stream. Of various items. Some trash, you can see some trash mixed in there for sure, but I'm sure a lot of those items are wanted. I don't know what this sound is, so we're gonna have to ignore it. The screaming and yelling got so loud that it reached Papa, who was in his workshop putting the finishing touches on a batch of chairs that had been ordered by one of his customers. He couldn't imagine what was wrong. He hurried up the stairs and looked into the messy, noisy room. It didn't take a deep thinker to figure out what was going on. Is that some shade? And Papa Bear? He seems like a deep thinker to me. Maybe he doesn't need to be in this case. Look at Mama Bear. She is determined. Quiet! Papa Bear got Mama's and the cubs' attention and called a family meeting right then and there. Now, the mess has really built up in this room, he said. In fact, it's the worst case of messy buildup I've ever seen. And it isn't fair, he continued. It isn't fair to your mama and me because we have a lot of other things to take care of. And it isn't fair to you. And it isn't fair to you because you really can't have fun. You really can't have fun or relax in a room that's such a terrible mess. Mama Bear. Mama Bear is feeling some kind of way. I like that he said this isn't fair to Mama Bear because it's not for her alone to manage them. To teach these lessons, you know. Papa set to work making a fine big toy box and a large pegboard. While the cubs and Mama sorted out toys, books, games, and puzzles, and put them into boxes that fit neatly into the closet, every box was clearly labeled. Did you hear that? Every box was clearly labeled. I hope the book isn't obstructing my voice or the microphone, however you think of it. Every box was clearly labeled, and Papa had been right too. It was so much more enjoyable to live in a neat, clean, well-organized room, and so much more relaxing. It wasn't as exciting to open the big storage closet now, but it was much more practical and a lot more fun. I bet you can tell why I like this one so much. I hope you liked that. I hope you enjoyed that. I get a little carried away sometimes talking about what I'm seeing on the page. So let me know if you prefer more talking, more pointing things out as I go, or less. Perhaps you just want to hear the book straight through like you would if you were having it read to you in a classroom, something like that. And thank you all so much for watching and listening. I hope you get lots and lots of good REM sleep, and as always, I hope all your dreams are sweet. And as always, thank you all so much for tolerating all these sirens. And thank you all so much